The chancellor screams in pain and falls to the ground after what Leon did. The soldiers of the Sparrow Kingdom shout in surprise and grab their weapons, ready to fight against the foreigner who just saved their kingdom. Leon's face contorts into a frown, his eyes on the chancellor. He seizes the chancellor's arm in a swift, unexpected move, causing Dae-sung to cry out in confusion. Leon's sudden actions prompt his soldier to question the foreigner's intentions, his voice filled with alarm. Leon ignores them as he continues to look at the fallen chancellor. He comments on how ridiculous it is and asks when he will stop hiding his identity. Leon can't believe it has the gall to do so when it obviously can't hide from his eyes. He then calls out to the demon to show himself. The chancellor, his appearance now grotesque, stirs, and his eyes glow a menacing red. A maniacal laughter escapes his lips, and the soldiers of the Sparrow Kingdom finally comprehend the truth. The figure they knew as the chancellor sheds its human form, revealing a monstrous insect-like creature. The reason for Leon's earlier actions becomes chillingly clear. They are surprised that the chancellor is a demon, but it doesn't stop there. Amidst the people, some also transform with a shriek. They begin surrounding Leon and some of the guards, bringing panic to the unarmed. Leon shouts for them to stop panicking and mocks them at the same time. He shouts for them to assemble and fight as one. As he says this while looking back, one of the monsters lunges to strike at Leon. However, the attack is easily held off with 2 fingers, surprising the enemy. Irritated by the disrespect, Leon pulls at the monster's arm with the same 2 fingers. He gives it a quick end, surprising the head of the guards. The general is aghast by the fact that demons have infiltrated already and curses at them. Well, it's your fault that you have poor security. You should be thankful that our king is there to clean up your kingdom's mess. Suddenly, the unarmed people are shouting to be saved as other demons chase them. Fueled by anger, the general quickly runs to defeat the monsters in their midst. Having recovered from the shock, he announces the infiltration of demons. He shouts for his subordinates to eliminate every single demon they see. The soldiers quickly follow the commands and do their part in slaying the enemies. After some time, they are able to get rid of all the demons. Leon looks at the queen, still sitting on the throne, and plans to approach. But the general's sword stops him from doing so. Leon glares back at the general, saying that he knows of his loyalty. However, it makes him ponder why the other isn't prioritizing the royal family in such a situation. The general says that he is only loyal to the queen. Dae-sung and the others are worried that another fight might transpire when Leon says the other's words are reasonable. Though this is the case, Leon looks at the sword blocking his path and flicks it upward. The sword flies up with such great force that it stabs itself to the ceiling. Please stop getting in the way or you'll hurt yourself, General. Leon glares once more at the general and announces that as the king, he is in charge of asking and making judgments. He adds that this also applies to the queen, so the general should be aware of his standing. The general's hand is trembling as he says that the queen is not in the right mentality to do so. He explains that with the chancellor's death, he has the authority. Leon looks at the other as he thinks of this and decides to speak of the situation. The Night King talks of the corrupted energy that fills the castle and the urgency of eliminating it. The general is surprised by this revelation and asks if this is true. Leon confirms this by saying that a king never lies. The general asks the foreigner what he wants. Leon says that it is the right to command the soldiers and the authority to eradicate evil. The Night King announces his intention to resolve the issue since she is powerless. In the central square of the Sparrow Kingdom, civilians have gathered. Before them, Leon announces his full authority and his identity. He lets them know the fact that demons have already possessed some of them. Leon explains the demons' plan to infiltrate and start a revolution. He assures them not to worry, for he already has a method of determining who the demons are. This piques the people's interest, and Leon says he will show them. Suddenly, Leon is holding a man and a woman by their clothes. The people's expressions change into surprise as Leon announces that anyone who is not evil, corrupted, or a heathen must prove their innocence. Through the flames, he shouts that he will present them with an example and throws both man and woman. The two shout in surprise, and the people watching are horrified by what His Majesty just did. The man screams in pain as he gets burned. But the same thing can't be said of the woman walking out of the flames completely safe. Staying her unscathed confuses the people, and they turn to the man who was screaming earlier. A civilian points to the soldier, and Leon tells them to watch. The one who is screaming now in the flames is a demon, and there are demons among the civilians. Leon glares at the burning demon as he explains that those who are evil are the only ones who will be burned by the sacred flames. He tells the people to thank Patos, the divinity of war and fire, and instructs them to shout the god's name in glory as they walk in the sacred flames. The faces of the people pale once they finally understand how they can prove themselves innocent. They voice out their doubts about the method, making Leon angry. Seeing that none of them wants to start, the Night King suddenly shouts at them to be quick in entering. Leon imagines that all of them are corrupted, since none of them wants to do it, and he threatens everyone with his sword, with no other choice but to prove themselves. The civilians courageously run to the sacred flames while shrieking and cursing. After some time, the civilians are now gone from Central Square, and before Leon are those who are demons. Seeing their presence, Leon makes a face and covers his mouth and nose because of their horrendous stench. He announces his intention to punish them by ripping up their souls into pieces. The demons are angered by the human mocking them and start to threaten him. But Leon, being Leon, doesn't let the demon finish his words and shouts at the other for being a demon and makes a shrieking sound that makes the demon's ears blow. Leon kept on shouting in a mocking tone at the demons, his anger reflecting in his whole being. The Night King is appalled by the gall of the demons to pretend to be humans by walking on 2 feet, grouping together, and here becoming a part of the soldiers. Leon announces that he would never allow something like that, and that they will all meet their end in pain. He swears that the demons' cries will be heard all throughout the world. The demons are surprised by Leon's words. They can't believe that they are being hated for the simple fact that they are able to walk on 2 feet. They start sweating, thinking they have messed with the wrong person. In a different location within the gate, Reinald watches what is happening with a huge orb in hand. Seeing how the King of Lionheart is acting, he can't help thinking that the infiltration plan failed. They continue to watch as Leon shouts for the demons to scream to make him happy. The great being is shaken by this scene and curses Leon for being scary. It is another day in the central square of the Sparrow Kingdom. Leon is once again calling out to the citizens of the Sparrow Kingdom, while a winged demon is wrapped tightly with rope in a wooden pole. Leon reassures them that they have nothing to fear, for evil will not be able to hurt them as long as he is alive. He then continues to explain how the demon can plant negative emotions. The people look at the monster with worry, while the demon grins at the civilians despite its predicament, suddenly filled with laughter. The demon confidently announces that it is not over and threatens everyone who is in the central square. However, Leon is not having any of the demon's nonsense and shuts it up. He makes the people look at the beast, saying that this happened because the people have given in to temptation and despair. Leon says this is the reason for their hunger, diseases, family conflicts falling over in the morning, inability to get married, and even losing money in gambling. Is it really now? The demon looks at Leon in confusion and asks how that became his fault. But Leon only shuts it up again by breaking his horn. The people stare at the demon, and one woman asks if the demon really is the cause of her mom's disease. The faces of the civilians turn to anger, as one man asks if it is the demon's fault, why he was rejected. At the same time, another blames the demon for losing his money from gambling. The demon angrily responds that it's not his fault, but Leon once again shuts it up by breaking its other horn. Leon then addresses the people, calling them citizens who try to be good. He tells them about how demons can bring misfortune, and that the thing that has gone wrong in their life is also the demon's responsibility. It must be some sort of butterfly effect, other mere existence. The demon is already beaten up and can't talk back against the accusations placed on its shoulders. Leon continues to speak, saying that their lack of right faith is also caused by the demons. Though this is the case, Leon tells them not to be afraid, as he raises a torch. He then explains that Patos, the divinity of war and fire, has given them the sacred flames. Leon then calls on a red-haired boy and tells him to come up and hold the torch. The boy does as he is told, and has the flaming wood in his hands. The sacred flames don't burn him, and Leon instructs him to punish the demon with the wood with sacred flames. The boy is surprised by the command, and hesitates upon seeing the demon's eyes flash red. However, Leon is scarier with his glare and question, asking if the boy pities the demon. The boy quickly denies this, saying that his father died because of those demons. Determined, the boy holds the wood with both hands and approaches the demon. The demon gets irritated by this and starts threatening the boy. Still, Leon quickly punches it and commands it to make a softer expression. The demon loses a tooth in the process, and it can only watch as the trembling boy is overcome with anger and punishes him. The demon shouts in pain as it suffers from the sacred flames. It curses everyone there, so Leon takes it upon himself to make it shut up again. In a different place, screaming can be heard in a dungeon. Balters, the demon of pleasure and corruption, is startled at hearing the agonizing scream. The demon thinks about how it lived for 34 years as a demon, with experience in agonizing and corrupting humans. Never in its wildest thoughts did it imagine that it'd end up tied up in a human dungeon. Yappy appears before the demon, making the demon startled and worried. The demon talks back, but in its head is anxious as to how it can even corrupt a machine. Yappy simply tells the demon to give him information. The demon acts tough, saying there's no way a demon will listen to someone inferior. Brah, inferior? You're before a Grail Knight. Yappy announces that the 14th hostage is uncooperative, and Pantheon soldiers appear. The demon is surprised, but it still bravely challenges them to slay him. The demon says more but suddenly stops, when a soldier brings in a wooden basin emitting a golden aura from within. The golden aura is apparent because the water in the basin contains 15% holy water. The soldier places it before the demon, who is now horrified about what will happen next. Yappy gets on the basin's rim, saying that based on his extensive data reference, his conclusion is inference. With one glaring red eye, Yappy announces that water knows the answer. The demon is suddenly pulled by Yappy and submerged in the liquid with holy water. The demon shrieks in pain as Yappy and the soldiers watch. Once the demon raises its head, it continues to shriek and even curses as it proclaims its identity. Seeing that the demon remains uncooperative, Yappy proceeds with the use of the holy water. The demon shrieks and tries to talk back every chance it gets, but Yappy only repeatedly burns the demon with the sacred water as the soldiers watch with discomfort. The demon's face is already red, and it asks what it could even say when it knows nothing. Yappy deems the demon uncooperative again and goes on. After some time, the demon's head exudes some golden aura, with its face completely red. Yappy announces the extraction of information from the 14th captive, with a total of 30,564 characters. However, this amount is less than the average amount of information he gathered from the first 13 captives. Having someone like Yappy in this situation is so helpful. The demon is confused by this and asks the robot about it. Yappy explains that the demon can still provide more information. The demon calls Yappy a psycho in his head, thinking that there's no way he could know that the others told more than he did. Suddenly, Yappy questions the merit of keeping the captive alive when it is unable to provide more information. With those words, the demon realizes that its life is on the line based on the intel he can tell. His demeanor changes as it asks what it should say. Once the gathering of information from the demons is done, Yappy reports to Leon that 89% of what he collected from the 32 captives is the same. He concludes that this information implies truth. Leon nods and compliments Sir Spin on his excellent work. Leon takes a glass of wine and asks Yappy about what he did with the demons right after. Yappy says that he eliminated them and reports the average time it took him to do so. He assures the Night King that he is successful in this regard, and Leon smiles, while complimenting Yappy. Leon then expresses his appreciation for hearing the Psalmic Justice. However, Leon's smile doesn't last long. The glass of wine is thrown to the ground, surprising Yappy. The Grail Knight observes Leon and finds an increase in heart rate, headache, chest pain, and breathing difficulties. Wait, is he poisoned or something? Leon clenches his teeth and fist, his whole being engulfed by anger. The Night King suddenly stands up, surprising Yappy with the sudden movement. Leon addresses Sir Spin and announces that he can't accept the fact that he is on a land where evil also lives and breathes. He asks Sir Spin's opinion on this matter, and Yappy doesn't disappoint. The Grail Knight says that they should not delay their elimination. Yappy's response to his question makes Leon happy, saying it is a great plan. Leon says that they should exterminate the cause. With that decision, he and Sir Spin jump out of the window to do as he said. Lol, he's smiling as he jumps. The King of Lionheart is a demigod, who doesn't get exhausted, which also applies to Sir Spin, who is a robot. Leon creates a massive impact as he lands on the ground. He and Yappy immediately leap off as he announces that they'll do a late-night outing. And this is the start of a cruel night for the demons, at least. In a different place inside the gate, demons surround Reynold Sherman, who is still carrying the huge purple orb. The demons talk amongst themselves about the presence of a human. Reynold looks around him and groans as he asks the great being if this is really okay. The voice from the orb tells Reynold not to look at those things for too long, since he is a mortal who can be easily corrupted. Reynold heeds the great being's words and closes his eyes. He knows, since he already corrupted you, there's no way the Great Being would want you to become someone else's lackey. A voice suddenly tells him to stop. Reynold opens his eyes in surprise and finds an 8-armed demon with a crown. The demon shouts at Sherman for stepping into its place of entertainment. The evil being is also amazed by such gall of a human, who doesn't seem to know fear. Reynold is taken aback by the thick evil energy the crown demon emits. The voice from the orb warns Reynold not to look at the crown. The Great Being then addresses the crown demon, calling it Androgen, the great demon of pleasure and corruption. Androgen looks down at the orb and calls the voice of someone lacking common sense or backbone, the goblin who experienced unexpected success. Oh, this is the goblin who became an archdemon that Arcane mentioned before. The archdemon calls out to Androgen, claiming to have an offer that the other can't resist. Androgen is skeptical about this and laughs out loud. The crown demon tells the beast to know his place, since he is a demon who already lost his lord and most of the great demons. Androgen mocks the goblin for thinking that they're on equal footing. The Great Being doesn't speak for a moment, but when it does, it points out how Androgen's demons also died. Hence, the other can't really be arrogant about such a matter. Androgen is angered by the archdemon's words, but the voice from the orb just keeps going. The Great Being mentions how Androgen's lord also perished from the Great Ascension, which happened 180 years ago. Androgen is enraged, calling the goblin an insect. The voice from the orb claims its knowledge of what transpired back then. And here's a flashback about the demons 180 years ago. It happened back when they were trying to take over a world. To do this, the 5 evils formed an alliance for the first time. However, things ended badly for the demons. 3 of the demon lords and numerous demons perished before the king of Lionheart. Wow, our king still has some clothes left around that time. Demons of low status would cry in fear once they were in the presence of Leon, for it only means impending death. It was then that over 10 million demons were eliminated. Back to the present, the voice from the orb says that it survives such a place. Androgen is surprised that the goblin is aware of what really happened at that time. The Great Being cackles and mocks the beasts for giving in to their instincts. The voice announces that it is there to make an offer that Androgen can't reject. The other demon is fed up with the goblin's nonsense. It furiously demands the demon from the orb to speak, as it'll ensure that the fool is thrust into the most bottomless hole. The voice from the orb says that it learned of the order given to Androgen by a distinguished great demon. Androgen smugly announces that the mission is almost over, since her holding on is futile, since she is immortal. The crown demon speaks of how near the end is. At that moment, a woman lies curled up in bed. Wait, is that the Sparrow Kingdom's queen? After some time, Reynold is now in the woods, still carrying the orb. He asks the Great Being if it is already done, while the voice announces that this is their most effective method. It gauges that the probability of them winning is 7-3, with 7 on Androgen and 3 on that beatard. Yep, he's referring to our king. Reynold suddenly exclaims that if he, an S rank, and the Great Being step in, this would ensure their win. The voice from the orb reminds Reynold that he has no plans of going, making Reynold curse at the other in his head. Reynold asks where to go, and the Great Being answers that they should head to the quartz harvesters by the palace forest. The voice from the orb exclaims how they are famous because of their attack power. As they walk further into the forest, they meet a battered demon. Reynold asks if this is one of the quartz harvesters, and the Great Being confirms this. The quartz harvester mentioned is now walking with drool and sweat on its face, and one of his arms is actually a bunch of tentacles. The quartz harvester groans with its eye looking odd. The Great Being quickly tells Reynold to hide when a string-like weapon swishes by and hits the quartz harvester. Reynold and the Great Being are both surprised by this, as the demon gets tied up and pulled away. The demon reaches out a hand toward Reynold, and it growls as if asking for help. The quartz harvester screams in denial, as it tries to save itself by holding onto the ground. With Reynold and the orb invisible, the two try to keep quiet as they watch this happen. They suddenly hear a voice calling out to Sir Spin, asking if he is done. Reynold and the Great Being are well aware of who the voice belongs to. Numerous corpse harvesters are hanging on the trees, all tied up. This is like that scene from Demon Slayer, except it is the demons hanging this time. Leon appears with tattered clothes, while Yappy assumes that there are still more of those alive. The Grail Knight mentions how the last one he hunted seems to be looking at something. Leon's eyes glow blue as he asks if there are really still more of them. Before them, Reynold and the Great Being are whispering about the stealth skill, feeling anxious that they might be found out. Reinald is confused as to why they were there, when he didn't hear any noise of their arrival at all. The voice from the orb explains that this is because of the Grail Knight's divine law of silence. The great being adds that it can block any noise, even the sound of running horses. Based on what they're seeing, the voice concludes that they use that law to slay all the demons in the forest. Wow, a knight with a ninja-like skill. Leon suddenly mutters how strange it is and that he feels some unpleasant energy from that area. Reinald and the orb are both surprised by such insight. Leon suddenly gets close to where they are, trying to sense it, and says it feels right around that area. Yappy suddenly makes a sound, catching Leon's attention. Leon asks Sir Spin, and Yappy confirms that its satellite caught sight of another target in a different location. Leon says that there are still more, so he takes another look at the unpleasant energy and tells Sir Spin that they should go. And with that, the two head off again. Reinald is still sweating, and he suddenly slumps into the floor. He is relieved that he and the great being were caught. Too bad they weren't caught. Based on the broken window, we're now back where Leon is staying. The King of Lionheart wipes himself clean as he thinks of the demons of pleasure and corruption. He finds it strange that such numerous demons reside within that gate. During his hunt with Yappy, they found demons of high rank and some elites. Leon surmises that there is also a great demon within that gate. He can't help but think about why those demons are there. The voice suddenly speaks of the disgusting smell of blood. Leon is surprised by the sudden presence. The woman comments on how Leon must be tired and asks why he doesn't take a rest. The woman with white hair and purple eyes then smiles at Leon. She calls Leon knight, but then she asks him if he prefers to be called His Majesty, the King of Lionheart. Leon closes his eyes as he thinks of how beautiful and sensual the woman is before him. He takes his clothes, considering that the root of the conflict is a beautiful woman, which also symbolizes downfall. Leon wears clothes as he molds how ordinary people wouldn't even realize their own downfall as they drown. The woman of great beauty raises a hand before Leon. She introduces herself as Beatrice Alligier Sparrow, the queen of that small kingdom. Leon does what a gentleman does in such a situation and introduces himself as well. He looks at Beatrice, thinking it took him some time to notice. Beatrice chuckles as she tells Leon not to be wary. She says that she only wants to greet the person who saved the Sparrow Kingdom. Leon gives a non-committal response and points out the inappropriate time for a noble lady to visit. Beatrice's expression changes as she says that she is being watched. Leon is surprised by this and asks who has the gall to watch the queen. Beatrice says the general and his knights are watching and keeping her captive. Leon frowns at this, thinking that the general doesn't look like someone who can be disloyal. Beatrice suddenly holds Leon's hand, saying there is no time, and asks him for a favor. After a short pause, Leon tells her that he will make his choice. Once he hears her out, Beatrice looks up at Leon and asks him to slay the general and his knights. She says that if Leon does this, then she will give him that kingdom. What? Lady, you're really sus. For a queen to give up on her kingdom? Are you even really a queen? Leon doesn't respond to this, and Beatrice gets closer and on tiptoe as she tells him to inspect the castle's underground floors. She claims that the general is hiding something in there. Suddenly, the general and his knights can be heard making their way in the hallway. The general calls out to His Majesty and apologizes for the bother. However, he still barges in, without waiting for Leon's response. Upon opening the door, the general frowns as he sees Leon alone in the room. Aha! Are you expecting to find the queen there? Leon speaks of their impertinence and entering the king's bedroom at night. The general admits his rudeness and reasons that there is an urgent situation. Let me guess, is it about the queen? Leon thinks about it and simply says that he met the queen. The general only acknowledges this, not saying anything else. Leon is perplexed by this reaction and asks the general about it. The general says that the queen has always been like that. Leon sighs at the fact that the kingdom's knights left the queen on her own, while demons are littering the kingdom. The general says the demons don't attack at nighttime, and Leon can't help, calling out the general on his BS. The Night King can't believe that the demons have ever worried about attacking at a specific time of day, and he's sure the general knows of this. This only makes Leon mull things more, since he knows such an idiot can never become a general. So he comments on the general's certainty regarding the matter. The general doesn't respond to this remark, and instead chooses to apologize for his rudeness. He then turns away, saying he has other matters to attend to. Leon suddenly brings up how the queen said they are holding her captive. This makes the general stop and look back. He then tells His Majesty that this is not something an outsider like him should worry about. And with that, the general and his knights leave Leon's room. Leon crosses his arms, thinking of how suspicious things are and the fact that he lacks information about that place. He recalls the queen's words and deems it necessary to investigate the underground floors. Ah, so where did the queen hide? Did she escape through a hidden stairs or something? Leon calls on Sir Spin, who suddenly appears from the broken window. He says that there is something that Sir Spin must check. Yappy makes a questioning sound in response. The following day, demons are once again attacking the Sparrow Kingdom. The demons cackle with glee as they head to the kingdom and announce their morbid intentions. They are so excited to head to battle, and one even mentions how Sir Androgen told them that the demon who can climb the castle wall first will be given a reward, and the others cheer once more of their intention. Suddenly, a sharp object engulfed with golden light shoots at them, creating a massive explosion that slays many of the demons. The others who survived are surprised by this. Before them is a huge spear that destroyed even the ground. The surviving demons take a closer look and find souls leaving the lifeless demons. The souls shout their discontent as they get absorbed by the Holy Grail. Leon holds the Grail as he addresses the demons, who know nothing of death and only chase their impulsive desires. Irked by their mere existence, Leon pulls out the Holy Sword and announces that as the King of Lionheart, he will teach them the essential splendor of life. Leon bids the evil souls to come, for the embodiment of their fear is there. In a different part of the palace, someone calls out to the general. A knight asks why the general is there when there is an ongoing battle. The general says that the outsider will handle the battle, and adds that the more crucial problem is the seal. Now you're just shamelessly relying on our king. The general asks for the knights if it is still working right. A knight confirms that it is and is about to say something else, but changes his mind. Without their knowledge, Yappy manages to infiltrate and is now closely following behind their group. The general and knights walk together, and the general mentions how 100 years of resentment will soon be complete. Before them is a curtained four-poster bed. As they reach close, the general pulls the curtains, and Yappy is confused by what he has just seen. The land is filled with red, and lifeless bodies of demons are littering the ground. Tied-up demons make a line as they walk. One of the demons suddenly falls face down to the ground, and Dae-sung notices this. Dae-sung decides to come close and tells the demon to be careful. However, he is completely shocked. Before him, a beautiful woman looks up and calls out to him to help untie her. She smiles up at Dae-sung, promising that she'll do something good for him if he does so. Dae-sung is overwhelmed and makes incoherent sounds. He starts to reach out, making the woman smile. Suddenly, a system notification appears, saying that corruption resistance is activated for the Legion. Dae-sung pales, realizing that the woman is nothing but an illusion made by a one-eyed demon. He curses out loud and slaps the demon. Lol, this is why you shouldn't feel sorry for demons. The demon is surprised by the fact that an ordinary human managed to resist its seduction. In horror, Dae-sung feels disgusted after realizing what almost happened. A shout suddenly calls out, asking who it is. Dae-sung and the demon turn to look at where the voice is coming from in surprise. A white horse stops near them. Leon is atop stallion, and is also pulling a different set of demons along. Leon glares down at them, asking who caused the disturbance. Both Dae-sung and the one-eyed demon are initially quiet, but Dae-sung quickly makes up his mind and points at the one-eyed demon on the ground. Leon shakes in a fury. He can't believe the nerve of the demon, attempting to snare his soldier with its horrendous being. The demon sweats in panic and apologizes, but Leon's temper speaks volumes due to his actions. He chastises the demon, while the demon keeps on apologizing. The other demons can only watch as their brethren get trampled. They can only think of Leon as more demonic than a demon. Well, our king is unforgiving, especially when facing evil. After some time, Leon and his soldiers are now inside the kingdom walls. Walking on the streets, Jin-soo calls Leon's attention and mentions how strange it is that the people's reaction to their victory is relatively tepid. Leon mulls over this and says that a lowly demon can easily tempt a human and corrupt them. He tells Jin-soo that the battle against demons is never-ending, which is why only a number of elites can be glad for this win. Leon adds that this is normal for a war against demons. What they can do is to make the citizens participate in that war by making them hang the demons themselves. Oh, so that's why he made the people gather and made them more angry about the demon's existence. Jin-soo hesitantly agrees with His Majesty's order, and they proceed to head back to the castle. Leon comments on how they've brought victory, yet no one is there to greet them. Something bright red shines from within the castle, and it is Yappy's eye. Leon then mentions how the others succeeded. Once they are in the castle, a soldier is surprised by the presence of the foreign king and his entourage in that area. The soldier calls out for them to stop, since they have no permission. Leon doesn't let the man finish and suddenly kicks. The soldiers fly off, and even the huge gate gets destroyed. Leon looks back as Jin-soo and Yappy take care of the fallen soldiers. Their group heads underground, with Dae-sung leading them. Jin-soo suddenly asks if it is really okay for them to force their way in like that. Do-hun smiles, saying he should just give up worrying about such things. The old man has truly embraced a soldier's duty to his king. As they head deeper, Dae-sung gets surprised and calls out to his companion to look as well. Leon keeps calm, while the others show their apparent surprise upon seeing a fancy 4-poster bed in the castle's underground. Leon wonders if this is the secret the queen mentioned before and says that this is clearly the Sparrow Kingdom trying to hide something. Finding that standing around is pointless, Leon walks toward the bed to check it out. The Night King moves the bed curtain and finds Beatrice lying on that bed. Jin-soo and Dae-sung blush at the sight of the beautiful woman. Jin-soo mutters how gorgeous she is, and he, Do-hun, and the other soldiers start moving forward, as if in a trance. Leon looks back and sees this. He shouts for them to resist, as he releases a golden aura. Leon warns them not to be seduced by the dark energy, but the others only keep going. Realizing that his aura isn't doing anything for his men, Leon chooses a different method to stop them from doing something they'll regret. He does this to everyone, but stops himself when he sees Dae-sung. Dae-sung clenches his teeth and Leon smiles at this. He notices what Dae-sung did to prevent himself from getting seduced. Great job, Dae-sung. You've once again proven how amazing you are. Dae-sung calls out to his majesty, and Leon instructs him to take a deep breath. The Night King takes out the Holy Grail, specifically instructing Dae-sung how to breathe and clear his mind. The Grail glows gold as Dae-sung gets healed from his injury. Suddenly, the general appears. He expresses his amazement at how they aren't tempted after getting close to the queen. The general is followed by his knights, and they approach Leon and Dae-sung. Leon finally understands what is happening and comments on how none of them are getting seduced. The Sparrow Kingdom knights draw their swords, while the general claims they are already used to it. Leon sees this as nonsense, since he knows that what the queen is experiencing is close to a curse, and it isn't something one can get used to. The Night King is aware of this, because he has already met someone with such ability. Leon recalls that it was the Lady of Pleasure. Our king probably met that demon back in his world. His Majesty speaks of the power as a demonic pleasure that makes others corrupted. Leon steps closer to the queen and says that he finds it strange. The Night King describes himself as someone who detests demons more than anyone. In the case of the queen, he can't feel such energy. Leon then mentions how the soldiers are all unfazed. The Night King then drops something in the water-filled Holy Grail. He calls on the divinity of dream and death and asks for her blessing as her guardian. Bright purple light envelops the place, and the white-haired goddess, Plue, appears. The general is surprised by the appearance of such a being. Plue calls on Leon as Ariana's knight, and owner of the Lion Heart. Holding on a lantern with a long stick, Plue responds to Leon's call. Leon bows and greets Plue, calling her the divinity of dream and death. He then speaks of his compliance with her wish to descend. Plue says she feels the demon's corruption and how they have created a mess. The goddess of dream and death calls it a never-ending dream, where demons are making a corrupt consciousness. With it being a dream, this only means that they should soon wake up from it. Is that why the demons keep on attacking? Plue swings her staff at the lantern and demands they show their true selves. Her lantern's light glows brightly as purple energy spreads throughout the place. Darkness starts to engulf Leon and the others. It reaches the point that the whole Sparrow Kingdom is covered in darkness. The darkness that engulfed everything suddenly breaks, and Dae-sung is surprised. He looks at the blue flames and finds that the Sparrow Kingdom's Meg's armor has seen better days. But what is more shocking is that they are all bones. Dae-sung calls them Death Knights. Wait, are they enemies? Leon finally understands why it escaped his notice and realization. The truth is that they used authority to create a world. The general steps as he announces that the queen's rest must not be disturbed. Suddenly, words about protecting the queen and the seal are muttered. Dae-sung pulls an unconscious Jin-soo and sees the increasing number of knights. He shouts to his majesty, calling his attention towards the Death Knights in the back. Plue and Leon look at the knights in calm demeanor. Leon observes the general, seeing that he isn't actually corrupted despite being a Death Knight. He takes out the holy sword and concludes that the gate's dream origin is actually the queen. Yup, that lady is sus from the start. Leon releases a golden aura as he announces his intention to greet the queen. He says that doing so will naturally make the dream. But his remaining words are left unspoken, for the general suddenly lunges to strike at him. Leon easily defends himself with his sword. However, the Night King is not only fighting against him. Another knight dashes towards them to attack. Leon sees the weapon heading his way and quickly retaliates to free himself from the attack. The Night King shouts about the battle being one-on-one. He furiously asks the general if he plans to betray a knight's honor. The general announces that he has long betrayed honor, and his subordinates rush in to attack Leon again. This reminds me of Leon previously announcing the extermination of orcs. Our king is now getting a taste of his own medicine. Angered, Leon shouts that he can't be stopped, even if they try to block him from both sides. The Night King releases a golden aura and attacks the Death Knights coming at him. One defends against his attack, while another follows up to attack Leon. An explosion happens, and Leon suddenly reaches out his left hand to hold the attacking Death Knight by its skull. With his menacing aura, Leon easily overpowers the Death Knight to the ground. The King of Lionheart acknowledges the enemy's strength. He thought that the enemy being undead meant it should be weaker. That may be the case, but Leon pulls up his sword with both hands and stabs it to the ground. He shouts that their crooked pride and honor means that they are unable to protect. Golden energy is released to the ground, where the Death Knights are standing. At the bright flash of light, the general can only call to his queen. The ground they are in finally explodes and shatters. After the explosion, the general collects himself and sees that the royal bodyguards have been defeated with that single blow. A sword suddenly points at him, and he can only call out in surprise at the King of Lionheart. Despite working together, you're still no match for our king. Leon tells the old knight to wake up from that dream. The knight tries to speak up, but Leon tells him that if he doesn't, the general can only live in that ridiculous dream forever. Raising his sword, Leon calls the other a foolish knight. But before the Night King even brings his sword down, he stops his attack, realizing that something is strange. He thinks about how everyone turned their backs, but the apostles never did that. Leon suddenly wonders why the queen asked him to kill the knights. The King of Lionheart turns his head towards the Queen of the Sparrow Kingdom, who is still in bed. Yep, she's still playing Sleeping Beauty. Leon wonders if she really isn't a villain. He then looks down at the general and tells him to speak of what they have done to the queen. The general bows before Leon and hesitantly starts talking about how the queen made a deal with a demon. It's time for a flashback. People are lying dead on the castle's receiving court. The queen and the general are both on the raised throne with their heads down. Someone suddenly calls out to the queen, and Beatrice looks up. A fully covered being speaks of her bravery and offers her a deal. Beatrice asks about it, and the visitor says she must harbor the corruption's essence and relive her kingdom's collapse for 100 years. The veiled being grins and says that if Beatrice remains uncorrupted, then it will save her and her people. Beatrice looks at the other in thought. With her kingdom in ruins, there is no other option for her but to accept the deal, and this is what she decided, even if it is a trap set by the demon. Fast forward to 5 years after that day, and things turned out for the worse. The endless cycle of pleasure and torture made the corrupted lose their minds. The Sparrow Kingdom experienced mayhem every day. In the daytime, Beatrice watches as the demons slaughter everyone. Once it is nighttime, the corrupted whispers to her. The queen lived those horrendous days facing the consequences of her actions, and she still has 95 years of this left. It was manageable during the first years, but she is still against the great demon of pleasure. Like any demon, their trap is bound to be canny and devious. No loopholes can be found in the deal, and it even mentions how it can't be escaped even if one chooses to go to the afterlife. In addition, once the deal ends, everyone will become corruption's servant. Their fate is obviously sealed with that last part. During that time, the general watched as the queen turned crazy. Beatrix watched the fall of Sparrow, while the corruption's essence within her was also enraptured. 50 years after the deal started, the seduction reached the point where even Beatrice's loyal knight could not hold back and made an attempt. This same loyal knight met his end in the hands of General Ricardo Buns. It was then that the general made his choice. He gathered his subordinates and announced that anyone alive couldn't withstand the enticement. Seeing that this is the case, he suggests the unthinkable. This decision is all for the sake of ensuring the queen's safety and assuring their loyalty. On that night, the Knights of Sparrow Kingdom met their end. Despite the consequences of their actions, they embraced the responsibility to protect their queen. So that's how they became deathmates. Does this mean the only person still alive in that place is the queen? Back to the present, General Ricardo Buns looks up at Leon as he retells what happened that night. He adds that their decision means the queen's temptation does not work on them. The general then claims that they seal the queen. The seal has been there for 80 years already, and they can only manage to have the queen sleep half a day. Hearing this, Leon can't help thinking that the knights are actually extremely loyal. The Night King finally understands why the queen asked him to slay them. Suddenly, Plue calls on Leon and asks if he feels it. Leon says he does, as he looks back from where they came in. An ominous energy starts to spread, and the source of this is coming from Androgen and his minions. Leon is enraged by the appearance of demons. He shouts out loud for his soldiers to wake up, surprising the general of the Sparrow Kingdom. Jin Su and the others wake up from their slumber. Du-hun shouts in confusion, but Leon simply grabs the old man by his armor and shouts again for them to wake. Leon heads back to where they came from along with the others, shouting that they must fulfill their duties. Slaying demons is our king's priority, after all. The general watches in confusion as this happens. However, Plue, the divinity of dream and death, remain with him, saying they should continue their conversation. The soldiers are standing by when Leon arrives. They immediately report the invasion of the demons in the castle. Jin Su looks in the distance and starts to panic. Many demons of all kinds run towards them, and Leon watches their arrival. A soldier suddenly steps in. Dae-sung walks forward with no hesitation. He wears his helmet and tells the others to raise their shields. The others quickly get into position and repeat Dae-sung's words. They recall His Majesty's words about maintaining their position and blocking the enemies. Good thing they're all well trained. As the soldiers get into their position, Leon walks to their formation's side and emits a golden aura. The soldiers know that they should hold out no matter what. Sir Spin makes his way to the other side of the formation and releases golden energy as well. With both mics by their side, the soldiers are sure that it will be taken care of. Androgen clenches his teeth and shouts for his minions to work and struggle with the pleasure that pain brings. The demons are engulfed in purple energy as frenzification is used on them to turn their pain into pleasure. The demons rush towards where Leon, Yappy, and the Lionheart soldiers are maintaining their position. Yappy announces his intention to annihilate all and opts to use all the weapons in his arsenal. Leon then calls out to Stallion, summoning his white horse. The numerous demons immediately clash against them, and the battle starts. The soldiers do their utmost to block the demons' charging attacks. They feel overwhelmed by the attacks, but they try to remain immovable as they put their fate in the hands of His Majesty. One of the soldiers looks at the side where Leon is and finds that His Majesty is engulfed by a horde of demons. Upon seeing this, the soldier can't help worrying that this might be their end. Suddenly, a massive burst of light sends the demons flying away. Leon is safe and shouts that he is doing this for the Lionhearts. Golden energy envelops him and those around him as he stands atop a group of demons. Leon knows that the demon of pleasure gets its strength from their number. The Night King looks back in worry for Stallion, who was down from the surge of demons earlier. Though the said demons aren't good at fighting, dealing with such numerous demons is still troublesome, even for our king. Leon knows that this is a trick that the great demons of pleasure typically use. Grinning, the Night King decides that he requires more charged power. Looking at the massive number of demons they must face, Leon ponders. If he has enough power to do it, he closes his eyes, and after a short pause, Leon opens them with determination. Whatever the case, this is something he must do, and he unleashes a tremendous golden aura from his holy sword. A gust of wind suddenly comes from the castle entrance, and a loud voice shouts for them to charge ahead. The general and the other Death Knights appear atop their own horses. They charge ahead beside the soldiers, toward the demons seeking the kingdom's demise. With their swords, they make quick work of the demons that cross their paths. They finally got a good grip on what they should be doing. With the initial force of demons eliminated, the general addresses the king of Lionheart. Leon looks back at him and grins, commenting on how he has finally woken up from his dream. The general claims that he is still loyal to the queen. Leon says that that is how it is supposed to be. The general then speaks of how they have become accustomed to losing, but if the foreign king can change that, then they will surely place their bets on that. Leon smiles at this and swings his sword. He announces that he will show them and achieve their expectations of him. Leon, the symbol of hope, once again glows gold. His steps begin to become fiery red as he calls on the divinity of war and fire. The Night King stays as the symbol of hope, even when his world became filled with demons. Leon continues to walk, and the golden energy he emits turns into flames. He had long proved himself, even when the gods of his world had no choice, but to evacuate into his heart. With his hair growing longer and the flames getting greater, Leon asks for Pitos' reply. A bright red light shines on Leon, and Pitos' voice comments that Leon is still sacrificing himself. "You're so right about that, Pitos. Good thing our king is no sunfish like Jong Hyuk." The god's voice surprises the others who hear it as well. Pitos says that without Leon, the fire would be snuffed out. Leon answers that he will always stand before them until they are able to stand on their own. With the blessing of the god of fire and war, Leon continues to emit flames, and his golden hair shines so bright that it is almost white. He glares at the demons before him, scaring them. Suddenly, Leon stabs his sword to the ground and announces that he is the king of Lionheart, who also happens to be the best horseman of Pitos, the divinity of war and fire. Calling war and fire, Leon makes his request. The Death Knights' armor change and their blue flames turn red. Leon becomes engulfed in flames, and he asks for the fire of war to aid them in punishing the evil of that world. He pulls out the sword and gives off more excellent light and fire. Leon's actions make the demons hesitate in fear. "That's right, you guys are about to get unalive." With the sound of hooves on the ground, two great golden bulls appear with a chariot behind them. Leon climbs into the chariot, and Stallion disappears with white light. The Kite King looks back at his white horse, saying he should rest. Now that he chooses to attack with a chariot, Leon pulls out the holy spear. Pointing the spear toward the demons, he tells his soldiers and the knights to follow him. With confidence, he promises them victory in that battle. The bull pulling the chariot growls out loud, and the general is shocked by this. He shouts out loud in warning, but Leon and the bulls ignore him and dash forward. The demons muster their courage before the charging chariot. Leon sees the enemy's determination and calls them inferior beings who don't understand the point of a cavalry. Angered, Leon shouts that charging means wielding a sword and spear. The bulls also growl out loud at Leon's shouting. They continue to head forward and use their horns against the demons. A system notification suddenly appears, announcing the activation of the title's strongest attacker. Demons fly into the air as the chariot continues to charge at them. The general and Androgen are both surprised by this spectacle. Unlike them, Leon remains steadfast as he and the bulls continue to destroy the demons. Our king still hasn't regained his full power, yet he's already wiping the floor with the demons. Androgen is surprised and confused by what is happening. The demon can't believe that they are unable to stop Leon even for a moment. Irritated by this, Androgen commands his minions to fire the magic cannons. The smaller demons quickly heed the command and shoot, ignoring the fact that the attack may also hit friendly force. Seeing the attack irks Leon, who shouts at the dishonor of using long-range weapons. Another system notification appears, announcing the application of several titles, such as the Ranger Hater and Arrow Nullification to the Legion. With the Death Knight coming under Leon's banner, they also receive the effects of the Arrow Nullification. The attack from the magic cannons rains on them, creating an explosion in the area. However, Leon and his chariot remain unscathed, as he shouts out loud to rally his men. The system notification doesn't end, for another one appears. The list is long, so you might want to pause to read it. The demons fly off because of the charging chariot. Suddenly, someone curses at Leon, making him look up. Androgen leaps to attack Leon, announcing his death. His strike makes the chariot dislodge from the bulls, who only kept charging at the demon. Their attack momentarily distracts Androgen, making the demon lose sight of Leon. Above him, the chariot is still in the air, and Leon is still on it. The Night King uses its surface to launch himself and attack with greater force. Androgen manages to evade Leon just in time. Realizing that it must show its utmost, Androgen snaps the bind in two of his wrists and shouts at his subordinates to slay him. "Brah, I doubt removing your bind will change your disastrous fate." On the ground, Leon pulls out his holy sword and says they must endure for 1 minute. The dead knights dash from his side, understanding what his majesty means. Androgen looks at Leon and curses that only a single person has been added, yet they are already faltering before the humans. The Knights of the Sparrow Kingdom attack the demons, and Androgen is skeptical of their strength. Purple energy envelops Androgen as he calls the King of Lionheart. Enraged, the demon questions if it was Leon who slayed Dothrenon. Leon mulls over this and suddenly smirks as he recalls a demon he had fought before. The Night King describes how he slayed those, and how Androgen and the others will soon experience it for themselves. With both spear and sword, Leon announces that their only difference is that Androgen has more arms for our king to destroy. Androgen rages and swears to remove Leon from existence. With that proclamation, the demon releases more purple energy and throws his weapons toward Leon. Leon faces this with no hesitation. He pulls back his spear and shouts about how the other is not even throwing it with its own power and is instead dependent on magic power. Leon screams about how this is why they are all weak and throws the holy spear at his enemy. The spear easily blasts through Androgen's weapons and destroys them. It even hits the demon on the shoulder, shocking the other. The demon finally realizes the other's strength. Leon reminds Androgen of his promise to destroy his limbs. The demon looks up in surprise, seeing that Leon is already before him. Instead of getting scared, Androgen grins and calls out Desire. The crown on the demon's head flashes brightly before Leon can even reach him with his holy sword. The Crown of Desire is a skill that makes the target surrender to their impulsive and wild desires. The Knights of the Sparrow Kingdom see this danger and call out to the King of Lionheart. But their worry is not needed, for Leon remains resolute about destroying the demon before him. Well, slaying demons and orcs is our king's most basic desire. Androgen shouts out loud in the pain from the Night King's attack. The demon is so confused as to how Leon escaped his illusion of desire. Androgen holds onto his wound in confusion as Leon walks to his enemy and tells about how even the Lady of Pleasure can't make him succumb. Leon sarcastically asks the demon how it can even think that it could possibly tempt him. Androgen realizes that something's wrong, for the demon firmly believes that any breathing being has desires. Whatever the case may be, the demon decides that it must run and shouts at his minions to stop the Night King. Suddenly, a golden bull dashes to where Androgen is and topples the demon over. The huge demon falls on his back, and Leon comments on how the demon's back is wide open. The Night King steps on the demon's chest, and Androgen tries to make a case about how their fight is interrupted and demands fairness. Leon is clearly irked by this and pretends to think about the demon's words about an honorable duel. Sweating, Androgen tries to worm his way out of his demise, but Leon shuts down any hope the demon has. The Night King announces that honor is inconsequential for demons, since what they are having in the first place is not a duel, but an extermination. Androgen shouts at Leon's prejudice, and it is then that the demon meets its end in the hands of the King of Lionheart. Sorry, Androgen, our king spares no mercy for evil beings. Let's do another flashback. The Sparrow Kingdom used to be peaceful. It was the kind of peace that people imagined that would last forever. Even Beatrice thought the same, but this didn't last until the demons started invading them. Faced with numerous demons, the intelligent Mage Queen fought them, despite knowing that those things would soon make their way to the Sparrow Kingdom. The battles end with the kingdom's victories, inspiring hope in its people. However, the hope didn't remain for long. Beatrice recognized that the demons don't really meet their end upon death. With hopeless eyes, she speaks of how that war was lost right from its beginning. Beatrice is aware that even if they slay more demons, it only end up returning, deeming this to be unfair. It may be hard to accept, but all is fair in love and war. Your enemy is clearly using everything in their arsenal to take over your kingdom. As time passed, destruction approached. The kingdom is about to meet its end when a completely covered stranger offers the deal to Beatrice. It is a deal that requires her to carry the essence of corruption on top of reliving the end of the Sparrow Kingdom for 100 years. If Beatrice remains uncorrupted, the demons will stop invading that world and return everything to normal. Beatrice only looked up and reached out her hand without even questioning if it was real. The queen accepted the deal, and bright purple light brightened the place. It is a demon's trap, yet Beatrice agrees with this deal to protect everything she loves. Because of that deal, the Sparrow Kingdom met its downfall. In the midst of pleasure and corruption, its citizens, knights, and queen easily succumbed to evil, and anyone who turned to evil can never return. It reaches the point where a once loyal knight cannot hold back from his desires and does something inconceivable. At that time, General Ricardo asks for the queen's forgiveness for his disloyalty and seals the queen in the underground chambers of the castle. The general then decides to do the unthinkable and becomes a ghost along with the other knights. Beatrice knows this is her fault and spends a decade of anguish and sorrow. It is the consequence that made her repeatedly experience a predetermined end. Beatrice carries the responsibility for her decision and wishes that the nightmare would end soon. At present, Leon and the Sparrow Kingdom's knights are again in the castle's underground chambers. They took the crown and weapons used by Androgen, which are still emitting purple energy. Yappy takes a close look at the weapons, and Leon asks if he likes them. Yappy says that kind of material is useful. Leon is a bit skeptical of this, and mentions how the weapon is corrupted by evil, and its ability to trap souls. Yappy merely says that it can be eliminated. Leon chooses to trust Yappy on this, and lets the Grail Knight do as he pleases. With the weapons settled, Leon looks at the crown. Plue calls out to Leon, surprising him. He quickly asks the goddess to speak, and Plue asks him to show her the crown taken from the demon. Leon looks back at the crown and mentions that it will sully the goddess' eyes. Wow, our king can be pretty overprotective in weird ways. Plue assures him that it's fine, and Leon complies with the goddess' request, showing it to her. Plue takes a close look at the purple glowing crown. The goddess reminds Leon that it is a crown shared by all the great evils of pleasure. She then speaks of its power to make an illusion to fool the young ones. Plue smiles and says she might be able to get something from it. Leon looks at the item, saying he is about to destroy it either way, so if the goddess wants it, then he'll give it to her. Plue thanks Leon and compliments him for the great work. She then tells him that the Pantheon is glad and thankful for his honor and glory. Leon bows and humbly says that it is his responsibility. Plue suddenly calls on War to say his greetings as well. Peters laughs at this and finally appears before Leon. Now that the god is before Leon, Peters suddenly feels shy and compliments Leon for his excellent job. Plue says that he should be more honest. For a god of war with a big build, Peters sure is acting shy. Leon lowers his head before the divinities and asks them for a request. Peters looks down at Leon and smiles, commenting that Leon didn't even greet him with a short hi. Plue gives Peters a look and simply tells Leon to go ahead. Leon looks behind him and asks them to take the souls of the dead knights. This request surprises the general as they continue to bow down before the divinities. Peters thinks about it and looks grim as he asks if Leon wants him to guide those corpses to the paradise of souls. He adds that those have already been cut off from the cycle of life and death. Plue scolds War for being harsh and reminds him that she is in charge of the cycle of life and death. She adds that War can't intervene in this. Peters glares at Plue and asks what kind of divinity will even let the undead enter paradise. Plue sees sense in Peters' words and mulls over this. Plue calls on Leon and says that those who defy death must be punished for escaping the cycle of death. Suddenly, someone steps in and asks the divinities to forgive them. The general is surprised to find Her Majesty Beatrice and asks her to take care of herself. With Androgen gone, Beatrice is herself again. The queen looks at the divinities and speaks to them. She is aware of her rudeness, but she still asks for their reconsideration, despite her inadequacy as a queen of a fallen kingdom. Plue thinks of her request and addresses the queen's loyal knights. She then announces that nobody in the Pantheon will accept them in paradise. The general assists the queen as they take the hard truth of their situation. But Plue is not done speaking. She smiles and says that their good deeds exceed the bad ones. She adds how she and the other gods are touched by their show of loyalty. Aside from this, Plue mentions how the Night King made the request for her. This is the most significant approval. With that decided, Plue announces that she will purify the souls and give them another chance in life. Woo, so there's still some chance for them. The divinity of dream and death steps on the ground, and her form becomes more physically real. She makes a suggestion to the queen, saying it is the only method to put the knights' souls to rest. Plue asks Beatrice to become her priestess and aid the king of Lionheart in spreading the faith. She then explains that once the afterlife she is ruling over activates, the goddess can grant reincarnation to the knights. Beatrice recalls the despair brought by her previous decision and is surprised by the goddess' offer. With no hesitation, Beatrice accepts it. Once that is settled, Leon, Beatrice, and Yappy are now outside. Leon looks over at his soldiers, who are gathered together. Daesung approaches Leon and reports that although most of the injured were healed by the Holy Grail, 6 of the soldiers still passed away. Some of the soldiers are mourning, and Leon approaches the dead. He thinks of how they managed to minimize the damage despite being against numerous demons. The Night King takes his holy sword and announces that he will pray for the dead. Stabbing the sword on the ground, Leon half kneels and flames appear as he calls to the god of war and fire. He announces the honorable deaths of the warriors and asks for guidance for their souls. Leon asks for their sins to be cleansed and for them to be praised for their courage. He also requests for them to be able to join the gods' banquet hall. Daesung is amazed by the red flames rising up. Leon then instructs them to have a list of the dead and have their families informed. He adds how Pantheon will never forget the sacrifices. Everyone watches as the red flames envelop the dead. Leon then announces that it is time for them to return. A system notification appears about the Gate of God's Paradise opening. Red notifications about denying the entry of souls appear due to the lack of fitness, faith, and honor. These are probably the souls of the soldiers who died in battle. Despite the rejection of entry, an absolute effect takes place because Leon, the king of Lionheart, blessed the dead. Soon, the souls were granted entry to paradise. Back on Earth, the sudden fluctuation of the gate made the Hunter Association deploy all of the available hunters on standby. It took a week before the gate opened again, and those who came in went back. Their clearing of the gate and the appearance of survivors are immediately reported to the headquarters. After things were a bit settled, Leon met with Oh Kang-hyuk, the president of the Hunter Association. He soon registered Beatrice as a survivor. The president also lamented the death of the hunters and prayed for their peaceful rest. Leon then discusses the videos provided by Sir Spin. Kang-hyuk confirms this and comments that it is a miracle that the damage isn't greater. Leon mulls over the president's words and speaks of his plan to visit the families of the deceased. Kang-hyuk asks if he will do this on his own, and Leon only says that it is the least he can do for his soldiers. Kang-hyuk expresses his worries about how His Majesty might experience something undesirable. Leon says he understands this, and he already knows what to expect. Centuries of fighting evil and losing his men gave him that experience. The Night King then calls out to the president and goes back to the topic of the videos. Leon requests the videos to be released and to have more hunters gathered for the demons who will soon invade their world. He finds it imperative to prepare knights and soldiers for this fight. Kang-hyuk faces Leon in understanding and says that he'll set up a schedule and plan for this. In the Pantheon building of Nanju Plains, Leon mulls over the suspicious actions of the demons and how urgent help is necessary. He puts his right hand on his chest and soon emits golden energy, while thinking that he must now go himself. Leon concentrates, and soon, his consciousness is transferred to a different place. As he opens his eyes, numerous people welcome him to the place, for Leon is the greatest Grail guardian. That's a lot of people. Wait, is that place what I think it is? Leon enters a huge kingdom with the others as he greets Anjak. He asks her about her experience so far in paradise. Wah, it is indeed paradise. So, does that mean our king can easily leave everything behind and just stay there if he wishes? Anjak answers Leon with a smile, saying that it is all because of his protection that she is able to enjoy paradise. This woman is Anjak Protesia, aka the Great Saintess. Leon then greets Sir Gildas and Sir Amtok. The knight jokes about going there earlier if he only knew how great that place is. Leon smiles and good-naturedly scolds the other knight for his joke. Another man suddenly appears and calls Leon king. Leon looks at the other, addressing him as the former king. The former king of Lionheart, Arjun Majesty Lionheart, greets Leon with a smile. Leon bows before the former king and apologizes for disturbing his rest. Arjun says this is nonsense, since the two of them share the same heart. Leon then asks the former king about the new souls who recently arrived. Arjun thinks of the new souls who suddenly dropped into paradise and comments on how it has been 180 years since new souls appeared in that place. He then assures Leon that those souls are being significantly treated. Honestly, they're quite lucky to enjoy paradise in their afterlife. Arjun is sure Leon came there for a different reason and asks him about it. Leon says that he is there to greet the gods of the Pantheon. He also adds that he wants to reunite and speak with them. Suddenly, Leon speaks of the situation's urgency and asks for his predecessor's wisdom. Arjun continues to smile and says that they should head to the forest. He also allows Leon to borrow Pethelion. After a short while, Leon rides a winged brown horse and flies in the air. Below him, he is followed by others, who are atop their own horses. Leon thinks of how he will someday be riding through the fields of paradise with Stallion. I wonder if Stallion will also grow a pair of wings by then. The Night King mulls how he can't do that without a successor. Leon looks at the direction of their destination and addresses the winged horse as Sir Pethelion. He directs the winged horse, and soon, they arrive in a forest. Leon gets off Pethelion and looks at the forest when a voice suddenly calls out to him. The voice calls him by his title and fame. Leon greets the sages of the forest and apologizes for his intrusion. The voice calls out to the king of Lionheart and reminds him that all living is indebted to him. Faces appear on the trees, and they tell Leon that this also applies to the gods. The trees move and welcome Leon to the forest. Leon expresses his gratitude for their gesture. The tree once again calls Leon by his title and asks about his presence in the paradise of the dead. Leon speaks of Gunrar and asks to be the youngest among them, who also happens to be his friend. The sage mutters the name and calls it the youngest sage. In a short while, birds fly off and someone greets Leon as his longtime friend. Leon smiles up at the other as the sage asks about his presence there. I swear he looks no different from the other sage. In fact, this one looks older than the previous sage. Leon calls out to Gunrar and asks for the sage's sealing. Gunrar is surprised by the request and crouches closer to Leon. The Night King recalls how Gunrar went to paradise without planting his seedling. Gunrar looks down at his friend and asks if Leon is in a rush. Leon makes a confirming sound and says that his home world, Earth, is being invaded by demons. He speaks of his certainty regarding this matter because of his recent expedition. Leon adds how they are aware of his presence and even starts scheming. The Night King doesn't think it is far-fetched to say that some have already wormed their way into Earth. Gunrar recalls what happened with the Empire. Leon agrees with this, saying that it will rot from the inside. Hearing this, Gunrar decides to agree to his friend's request. The youngest sage raises a root and says that only Leon is allowed to take things from paradise. Gunrar prepares the seedling, and after a while, the sage grants it to Leon. The Night King says his thanks, while Gunrar expresses his happiness in seeing his old friend after a long time. The youngest recalls something and reminds Leon that he should not rush to that place. After some time, Leon returns to the castle. There, Sir Gratis, Anjak, and Arjun are seeing him off. Oh, Sir Gratis, it's that Grail Knight who made the Standing Army's hellish training manual. Arjun hands Leon something and tells him to take it. Arjun explains that he is giving him what he thinks is most crucial among those that Leon needs at that moment. The former king knows there is a limitation to what Leon can bring back from paradise. Arjun is gifting him the reins of a renowned animal trainer. It has the ability to tame even monsters. The former king recalls giving it to Leon before he died, but Leon chose to bury it with him. Sir Gratis walks in next, holding an old book. He hands it to Leon, who is surprised to receive it. Sir Gratis says that he heard about Leon training his current army, right from the beginning and from experience. Finds it frustrating. Leon reads the title and mentions that it is the legendary training manual. The soldiers are bound to another hellish training. Leon, Sir Gratis, and Arjun talk about Sir Gratis slaying giants with serfs as Anjak watches them. She then calls for Leon's attention and gives him a cross. Leon sees that she has given him a holy relic that can only be passed down to another saintess and asks how he can even accept it. Anjak assures Leon that no one will question this since he is the agent of Pantheon. She says that it will be able to protect him until this holy sword gets reborn and asks him to take it. Carrying all the gifts that others bestowed him, Leon thanks everyone and announces that he will use them to the utmost. Back on Earth, Leon approaches a door and knocks on it. He announces his identity and asks to enter. The door suddenly opens, surprising Leon, but the Night King still doesn't enter. Beatrice asks if he is not coming in, and Leon says he still has to receive her permission to enter. The queen smiles at this and comments on how serious he is. Beatrice then gives him permission to enter. This queen still looks beguiling.